Let's go back to that timeline again, guys. At 3:29 a.m., suspect vehicle 1 is seen entering Moscow. But yet, there's no videos being leaked or anything of it being anywhere around the house. All you see is that picture taken by the mobile gas station attendant who appeared to be obviously bored, and she took that picture as a screenshot because she thought, "Oh, hey, I just helped the MPD. I think I just caught the vehicle involved in the murders fleeing town." Even though that vehicle did not look like a Hyundai Elantra. It looked like either a Prius or some other hatchback type vehicle. Yeah, even that screenshot looked photoshopped because you could clearly see her hands were transparent against the computer screen. And then she went ahead and turned around and took a picture of the time that she caught the photograph, which was 3:45 a.m. But none of this timeline matters, according to Brett Payne of the Moscow Police Department, because the data download from Dylan and Bethany's phone clearly showed 4 a.m. to 4:25 a.m. My God, who are we gonna fucking believe here? Are we gonna fucking believe a dirty cop who would harass those poor students on a nightly basis, harassing college students who want to who want to party and threaten them with the Greek council in the dean's office? I mean, I cannot stand Brett Payne. And then he wrote that piece of shit PCA, him and Dylan. Even though Bethany, who was a surviving roommate, her name was not mentioned once in that PCA, except for the data download of the phone, where they came up with the 4 a.m. timeline. That that 4 a.m. timeline is bullshit. It's bullshit. From 2:54 a.m. to 3:15 a.m., there was a lot of freaking activity around that house. The guys getting stopped on Banfield. The the silhouette of 4 or 5 people either fast walking away or running away from the murder house, straight over to Sigma Chi. I'm really starting to believe there's mass corruption there in Moscow, Idaho. I've been saying there was for a long time, but I'm starting to believe it now. I'm starting to believe that there's an innocent man sitting there in that chair in the courthouse. Does he look like a murderer, guys? Does he really? I don't think he looks like a murderer. I think he looks like a scared 29-year-old, yeah, sitting there with a pending death sentence. When he sits there in that chair, he looks absolutely terrified, surrounded by sharks. Like, which one of these guys is going to eat me next? That timeline is bunk, is bullshit, and it needs to be thrown out. Because even in the Linda Lane footage, going from 4 a.m. to 5 a.m., you can't tell that's an Elantra doing the 3-point turn. You can't tell that's an Elantra driving by. You know what it looks like? It looks like that damn undercover cop car that stopped those students on Banfield. That's what it looks like. It looks like an undercover cop car doing a 3-point turn. Don't get me started on the Moscow police. They're as corrupt as all fucking get out. Moscow Police Department might as well be Moscow Gestapo. The way they freaking uh, tormented those kids in that house. Threatening Zano with a Greek council. Threatening Hunter Johnson with the Greek council. My God, guys, my God. Those kids are dead. And those fucking cops walked around that house like they were on a carnival ride. They didn't have gloves on. They didn't have masks on. They were sneezing in the crime scene, walking around with paper booties, walked outside, then walked back inside. That freaking Moscow the police department is a carnival. A carnival of inept motherfuckers. And I honestly think that Steve G was right. The Moscow Police Department is in way over its head in this case. Look at the prosecutor. He's sealing fucking everything. He's sealing everything. I have never seen a prosecutor in any other case or any other state that seals up everything so fucking quick. And then Ann Taylor's having to had to file 12 motions of discovery just to get the shit from him. I can understand filing one and don't get it, filing two, don't get it, filing three, okay, get it after the third one. But 12 fucking motions of discovery? What the fuck? They know that dude's innocent that's sitting there. And they don't give a shit because he is their patsy. They don't give a shit about Brian Kohberger. They don't, they say it's justice for the victims. If it's justice for the victims, then why are you moving so fucking slow, Mr. Bill Thompson? Why are you not wanting to turn over evidence, Bill Thompson? Because if it was justice for the victims, they would already had the evidence turned over so they could go to trial. But no, they know that they have nothing on Brian. They have nothing on Brian. And they're making him sweat during this whole thing. That poor man is sitting there and he looks terrified. Every picture that they take of him, he looks terrified. Because he knows he's the sacrificial lamb for an even bigger scheme. Corruption, money laundering, drug trafficking, human trafficking. He knows that he's the fucking scapegoat. He's the sacrificial lamb. Enough of the 4 a.m. timeline. That's not the real timeline. The timeline is between 2 a.m. and 3:15 a.m. Enough of the goddamn false timelines. Enough of the false timelines. Bring us real timelines. And don't get me started on Dylan either. Fucking Dylan. 8 hours. You wait 8 hours to call 911. Seriously, 8 hours. I understand them being in the sororities and them doing what the sororities tell them to do because they're brainwashed by Pi Beta Phi and Alpha Phi and Sigma Chi. I know they're fucking brainwashed by them. But my fucking God, those kids laid 8 hours in their own fucking blood and you didn't call fucking 911. You ought to be ashamed of yourselves. Dylan ought to be ashamed of herself. Bethany, Sigma Chi, Pi Beta Phi. Everyone knew, but at 8:30 in the morning, the only ones that didn't know was the parents and the cops. The cops were not called until 12 p.m. How did the entire town know that those kids were dead at 8:30 in the morning? Why wasn't the cops called at 8:30 in the morning? Why wait till noon? And why did the coroner not show up till almost 5 o'clock in the evening? And why weren't the parents notified first thing in the morning? Why weren't they notified that their sons and their daughters were dead? This goes back to the corruption of Moscow, Idaho. And I hope and I pray that the corruption comes forward for all to see and Brian walks free because Brian, and I believe this, is an innocent man sitting there, terrified, surrounded by sharks, possibly either facing the lethal injection or firing squad. And that's the last thing I would want for Brian is to face the firing squad. Because do you realize how much gunshots hurt? They hurt a lot. Fucking Bill Thompson. And then him sitting there in an interview. Oh, I don't think there was drugs involved. That entire town is a drug town. That house was a drug house. You know, oh, I don't, you know, and freaking the coroner who's not wanting to release the toxicology. She said, and I quote, the toxicology is a non issue. But yet, how come we're getting all these conflicting stories about how the students were found? The coroner says they were slaughtered in their sleep. They were in their beds asleep. Then how come the Gonzalez family is coming out and stating Kaylee was found sitting up and slumped over? Maddie was found sitting up and slumped over. Maddie and Kaylee had defensive wounds. And then Ethan had his throat cut. And he was halfway in and halfway out of Xana's bedroom. And Xana was laying at the foot of her bed. How does that constitute being asleep? How does that constitute being found in your bed? Oh, are we supposed to believe everything that Brett Payne says? Are we supposed to believe everything that Dylan says? Personally, I don't believe a damn thing Dylan says. And I don't believe a damn thing Bethany says. Dylan's whereabouts were unaccounted that night. Bethany's was accounted for. Xana and Ethan's were accounted for. Kaylee and Maddie's was accounted for, but Dylan's wasn't. They couldn't pinpoint where she was that night. All they know is she came back with Bethany at 1 a.m. But other than that, oh, she was a ghost that night. We couldn't find out where she was. This damn case is bullshit. It's fucking convoluted bullshit. And it's all coming from the MPD. They're giving out bullshit narratives. Dylan's giving out a bullshit narrative. Yeah. And the PCA, that's a you might as well call that toilet paper and wipe your ass with it. Even Ann Taylor, of all people, Ann Taylor said that the PCA is full of inconsistencies, half truths, and it's full of holes. That came out of Ann Taylor's mouth. It's full of inconsistencies, half truths, and holes. And she said that at the hearing on the 26th of last month. And she is trying to figure out exactly why they think her client did the murders. Because the way she's putting it, there is no evidence tying Brian to the crimes. So she's trying to figure out exactly why they automatically assumed it was Brian and why they are clearing everybody. Like the murder happened on November 13th, 2022. And what happened 2 days later? Everybody was cleared. Everybody. Dylan, Bethany, Jack D, Jack S, Hunter Johnson. Yeah, the Sigma Chi, the Pi Beta Phi. Everybody that was involved with those kids in that house were cleared. Except for one person. And that one person is sitting in that chair next to Ann Taylor. Everybody else, guys, was cleared in rapid succession and not even checking alibis. Just like Christy Gonzalez said, a lot of those people that were cleared, the cops didn't even look at. They just cleared them. Tell me if that ain't some messed up shit. If something was to ever ever happen to another college student there in Moscow, Idaho, how fast would the police clear them? How fast would the police clear the sororities and the fraternity? How fast would they be cleared? Would it be like instantaneous? Or would they look at their background and then clear them? Because apparently the people that was cleared in this case in a very quick succession, they didn't look in their backgrounds. Look at Jack D. Jack D, he clearly had motive. Kaylee broke his heart. She was getting ready to move to Texas and take Murphy with her, and then she was going to go travel across Europe. Jack D had motive. His motive was a crime of passion. Look at Dylan. She had motive because Kaylee was leaving, and Dylan knew exactly what Kaylee was involved in because Dylan got her involved in it. Why do you think Dylan invited Kaylee to that Pi Beta Phi party as her plus one? Dylan lured her back into town. Kaylee wasn't wanting to go back. Kaylee actually wasn't even living in the house at the time. Her parents admitted she was living at home with them. She went back that weekend and she told her parents why she was going back. She was going back to visit her best friend Maddie, to show Maddie her new vehicle, and she was supposed to be Dylan's plus one at a sorority party. Well, what happened that night? Dylan went off grid till about 1 o'clock in the morning. I don't even think there was a Pi Beta Phi sorority party. I think Dylan made it up to get Maddie back in to get Kaylee back in town. If there was really a party that night, Kaylee would have been at the party with Dylan and not at the corner club with Maddie. Dylan's whereabouts that night are unknown. Everybody else's whereabouts have been confirmed, except for Dylan. All people know is that Dylan came back to the house at 1 a.m. with Bethany. That's all people know. And then Kaylee and Maddie came back about 1:56, according to Olivia. And Xana's dad said the last meal that Xana had ate was pizza at midnight. That was the last meal Xana ate, was pizza at midnight. That freaking DoorDash, it was a plant. It was planted. It was a plant to set up the timeline. Because like I showed the video last night, of Chaos Sector. Chaos Sector did a really good video. The DoorDash driver was Bonnie. Because at the time, Bonnie, or EB, everyone knows EB, she was a dasher. She was working for DoorDash. And there are crew member witness statements that state that she came through the drive-through at roughly 2 a.m. ordered the Jack in the Box, and then delivered it to the house to set up this fucking timeline. Timelines. I'm sick of hearing about timelines. And what about the guys on the Banfield? Huh? Yeah, they were walking away from that cop when he was hollering at him to stop. What about the guys on the Banfield? And that one, oh well, we thought it was a fake person. How how can a person be fake, guys? Really? How can a person be fake? Honestly, that just that just makes no sense to me. Oh well, we thought you were a fake person. Okay. How can a person be fake when you're standing there shining the flashlight at them, saying, "Hey, stop! Hey, stop!" And then the undercover cop stops Saeed because he had two unopened beers. Oh, I can take this back to my apartment. It's just right around the corner. Yeah, it's right around the corner because he owned the apartment complex where his apartment was at. He owns a bungalow apartment complex, like, right around the corner from Banfield. "Oh, yeah, I can just take these back to my apartment. It's, like, right over there." And dude had bushy fucking eyebrows. His eyebrows were bigger than fucking Koberger's. And it just goes back to the whole Dylan thing. "Well, I saw a guy with bushy eyebrows and about 5'10" and really athletic." Saeed looked about 5'10". Saeed looked athletic. Saeed had bushy eyebrows. So what is it? I want to hear from the ones watching right now. What does that tell you about Saeed? Bushy eyebrows, about 5'10", athletic. Is he the fucking killer? Because honestly, I'd like to know here in the chat, guys. What do you guys think? Because this whole fucking case, you might as well, yeah, Judge might as well take a can of lighter fluid, pour it on all the case documents, and light the fucker on fire. Because that's how I feel about this case. It's about justice for the victims. Xana, Maddie, Kaylee, Ethan. It's not about some convoluted. It's not about something convoluted that the freaking prosecutor's doing behind the scenes. "Oh, I'm gonna get this guy. I'm gonna get this guy. He's our patsy. I'm gonna get this guy." You know what I have to say to you, Bill Thompson? Fuck you. Fuck you, Bill Thompson. I kind of hope that they take this fucking case and move it out of Latah County. But where would they move it to, guys? Honestly, where would they move it to? There's like really no place where they could move this case to. Everything. This case has infiltrated everywhere. Facebook groups, Instagram groups, 4chan, Reddit, the news, YouTube. This case is everywhere. So I'd like to know where Miss Taylor would move this fucking court case to. It is everywhere. I'd really like to know that, guys. It's everywhere. Where can she move this court case to? Lewiston? And I've heard Lewiston is worse than fucking Moscow. I played a video last night of a dude chasing the cop down a bike path because apparently he had just killed his father, stabbed his father 30 times, and he started chasing this cop down a bike path with a very large knife. A very large knife. So what's it going to have to take to get this trial moved? What is it going to have to take? And where can they move the trial anyway? Because I think pretty much, well, since this case has saturated everything, and Miss Taylor is wanting a uncorrupted jury pool, because she said Moscow, the Latah County jury pool is corrupted by media, by Facebook, by Instagram, by TikTok. I don't think she can get an uncorrupted jury anywhere. Not even not even in Lewiston. I honestly don't think she could get an uncorrupted jury. And the only reason why um, Bill Thompson wants it to stay in Moscow or stay in Latah is because he knows he can get an easy conviction using jurors in Moscow. Because everybody knows everybody in Moscow. That's one thing Ann Taylor said is the reason why she's wanting the case moved. Everybody knows everybody. This shit's just got me fucking sick, guys. It does. It's got me fucking sick. I wish there was a lot less corruption in this case. I really do. That's why I really wish that there was a lot less corruption in the case. God, this sucks. You have a corrupt prosecutor, you have corrupt cops, you have a possibly corrupt judge. They're all fucking tainted. They're all fucking corrupt. You have Judge John Judge, who's a alumni at the U of I. You have the coroner, who's a who is a alumni of the U of I. Plus, she's also a law professor there. You have Ann Taylor, who is a alumni of the U of I. You have the prosecutor, who is a alumni of the U of I. Yeah, Xana's dad said Xana and Ethan had pizza at midnight. So what if they had pizza at midnight, James? Why would they be ordering DoorDash? It just makes you wonder. And Murphy was with Kaylee at the house at the 1122 King Road. She took Murphy everywhere with her. Yeah, don't get me started on Bethany either, James. I think Bethany knows more than she's letting on. Because uh, Bethany's room, or her original room, was below Xana's, but then she moved across the hall and made the other room the storeroom. This whole fucking timeline, it just makes you go fucking crazy because you know the truth about the timeline. We all know the truth about the timeline. The timeline is not 4 a.m. It's not. The timeline is not 4 a.m. The timeline is earlier than 4 a.m. Yeah, if they're leaking the picture of that truck setting out in front of the house at 2:15, why ain't they leaking anything else? Like, show us proof that Brian was driving down the street in front of the house. Show us fucking proof that he was driving down the street in front of the house. You know why they won't show us proof that he was driving down the street in the middle of the house? Yeah, in front of the house? Because he wasn't driving down the street in front of the house. And the car that's doing the 3-point turn at about, I'd say 408 there by Linda Lane, that does not look like an Elantra. It does not look like an Elantra. It looks like that undercover cop car. That's what it looks like. It looks like that undercover cop car. That's what that freaking car, that's doing the 3-point turn there by Linda Lane, guys. It looks like an undercover cop car, is what it looks like. Yes, sir. It looks like an undercover cop car. That's what it fucking looks like, guys. It looks like an undercover cop car. If it's not an undercover car, somebody please, in chat, tell me what that car looks like that's doing the 3-point turn by Linda Lane. Because it clearly doesn't look like doesn't look like a fucking Hyundai. It looks like a Ford Fusion. That's what it looks like. It looks like a fucking Ford Fusion. Now, can someone answer me in chat or in the comments exactly what kind of car the undercover cops were in? Are you talking about that launcher that was abandoned in Oregon that was wrecked? That's another thing. The cops quickly clear that a Hyundai Elantra that was wrecked in Oregon. Oh, it doesn't tie into this crime at all. How would they know if it doesn't tie into the crime? I honestly think that the touch DNA was planted. I think it was planted because you had two different Indiana state troopers pull Brian Koberger over. They were wearing gloves. He wasn't when he handed them his ID. I bet you they pulled him over to get his touch DNA. because it was on his freaking ID when he handed it to him. I bet you anything they used that whole, "Oh, you're falling too close behind these vehicles," and then pull him over again, pull him over again 2 miles down the road for the same damn thing. Yeah, I think they did it to get his touch DNA, so they could use that touch DNA to plant it on the button snap. That's what I think, and you're not gonna change my mind about that either. They fucking used him. They fucking used him. They used him to get his DNA. They're using him now as a fucking patsy. They're using him for a lot of shit. And what did he say? The day he got arrested in Pennsylvania? "I can't wait till I get exonerated." He said, and I quote, "I can't wait till I get exonerated." I can't wait for him to get exonerated too, just to get this fucking trial over with. I can't wait. 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 Because once this trial is over with, there'll be another trial to go to. And I can't wait. And would this could be a short stream tonight, guys, because I'm getting ready to do members only. So you guys have a good night. Remember, always remember to like and subscribe and share this channel and hit the bell notification for any new uploads. Peace.